My elder sister truly embodied the archetype of a saintly mother. Without so much as a consultation, she abruptly transferred my scholarship funds to another party. Then, donning a facade of nobility, she would rationalize her actions, claiming, "You receive monthly allowances from our family, but others would struggle even to afford a meal without this sum." My clothes and handbags also had a mysterious habit of vanishing, only for me to later discover she had quietly shipped them off to needy mountain regions during my absences. You don't use everything anyway, so wouldn't it be more meaningful for those who truly need them? With this display of feigned compassion, she swiftly cultivated an image of a benevolent fairy soaring to social media stardom with millions of followers. During her live streams, she never failed to diminish me in order to elevate herself. Even though my younger sister is selfish and only thinks of herself, she's still family. I can't abandon her. Eventually, her fervent fans attacked me relentlessly, leaving me almost broken. And then at my own funeral, she continued to live stream, donating all my belongings to charity. Her fate today is self-inflicted. What she left behind, I will send to those who truly need them as an accumulation of merit so she can be reborn as a better person in her next life. When my eyes opened again, a singular thought consumed my mind. I had to torment her to death. I needed to see if this saintly mother could survive once she no longer had anyone to exploit. Zhao Qianqian's voice, tinged with obvious disdain, cut through the air. "Zhao Luo, give your phone to your sister." When I didn't react, she frowned impatiently. "Didn't you hear me? Are you deaf? Have you become stupid from all that reading?" These words, even the slightly spoiled tone, were all too familiar. In that instant, I realized I had been reborn. I had returned to the very day my scholarship was announced, the day my tragedy began. Across the room, Zhao Qianqian was still sneering as she reached for my phone on the table. But before her fingers could make contact, I sprang from the bed with lightning speed, seizing her wrist. "It hurts. Zhao Luo. Are you crazy?" "Zhao." Qianqian struggled, her face flushed with pain, quickly releasing the phone and yelling furiously. "Give me the phone. Your scholarship has been dispersed. I need to transfer it to the poor students. I promised them I'd send the money today." I met her gaze with a chilling stare. "If you want to do charity, use your own money. I won't give you a single cent." Zhao Qianqian's expression twisted instantly with rage. She raised a hand, pointing directly at my face, and cursed. "Zhao Luo. How can I have such a selfish, callous sister like you? You have living expenses from our family, but they don't even have a meal to eat." I chuckled coldly, my eyes unwavering. "You have living expenses too. Why don't you use your own money for donations or work part-time to earn money for charity?" As my words finished, her face instantly darkened. The fairy-like demeanor she had maintained for so long finally cracked. "How can that be? That's my spending money. Scholarships are public funds. They should be used to help those in need. You received money from the public, so you should return it to them." It was truly laughable. A hypocrite who committed wrongdoings while cloaking herself in noble excuses. I crossed my arms, a faint smirk playing on my lips, watching her as if she were a clown performing for my amusement. I received the scholarship because my academic performance warranted it. Anyone with good grades can receive it, even poor students. You lack the ability, yet you want to emulate a saintly mother. It's ridiculous, like trying to draw a tiger and ending up with a dog. Or perhaps you should try climbing the Leishan giant Buddha, and I'll stand aside and yield my spot to you. Zhao Qianqian's face flushed crimson with anger. The two words, saintly mother, landed like a direct slap, shattering her feigned gentleness. She pointed her finger straight at my face and shrieked in fury. "Zhao Luo, you've grown wings now, so you dare to be disrespectful to your elder sister, is that it? Do you want me to tell mom and dad to give you a good beating? I'm not a saintly mother. I'm just a good person who wants to help those in need." I remained with my arms crossed, watching her struggle coldly. In my previous life, with this very face, she had, in the name of kindness, brazenly stolen my scholarship clothes, shoes, bags, and even my living expenses, donating them under her own name. All those actions she believed were perfectly justified. Not only that, but she also began to educate me with empty platitudes. Luo, we must learn to share like giving roses, leaving a lingering fragrance in your hand. From a young age, you never had to worry about food or clothes. But there are countless people out there who don't even have a bowl of white rice, who have never worn new clothes their entire lives. Your things can help them. Oh, how moving that sounded. Had I not known the truth, I might have believed her. But unfortunately, those lofty words only applied to me. She never gave anything of her own, never donated a single personal penny. Yet all the world's praise and adoration were lavished upon her. To further embellish her own halo, she slandered me, painting me as wicked, selfish, and heartless. When I refuted her, she immediately distorted my words, posting them online, leading to a vicious public attack against me. Things escalated to a peak when an enraged fan found me and threw acid on me, leaving me severely wounded. I could have been saved, but Zhao Changqian stood by my hospital bed, gently telling the doctor, "She's like this already. Saving her would be pointless. If possible, please donate her organs to help those who need them more." With just one sentence from her, I was pushed straight into hell, onto a cold operating table, yet it was not as cold as her heart. Nor did it end there. After my death, she became even more famous, leveraging the story of the benevolent sister grieving her lost sibling. She cried while live streaming sales, amassing a fortune, becoming a beauty with a heart of gold, praised far and wide. Ultimately, she married a wealthy young master, bore 2 children, and enjoyed a life of luxury until her dying day. But perhaps even heaven felt the injustice, which is why I was reborn this time, and I would watch with bated breath how many episodes our saintly mother could survive. Just then, my roommate pushed open the door. Seeing the tense atmosphere, she raised an eyebrow in surprise and asked, "What's wrong with you 2 sisters again?" Immediately, Zhao Changqian's eyes welled up with tears, red and aggrieved. "It's all because my sister is selfish and refuses to be reasonable. I only asked her to donate her scholarship to the school's poor students. You don't know they're so pitiful, eating only steamed buns and pickled vegetables every day, drinking free seaweed soup just to survive. It's heartbreaking to watch. She clearly has living expenses already. So is it fair for her to stubbornly keep the scholarship like that? She'll surely go to hell after she dies, unable to transcend or be reborn. Please help me persuade her. One must be kind and live without shame." As she spoke, she wiped her tears. Her voice choked as if she were about to faint from sorrow. A familiar theatrical performance, standing on the moral high ground while manipulating others. I glanced at her sparkling eyes, noting the hidden glint of smugness deep within. She must have thought my roommate, like everyone else would, side with her, criticize me, and push me into a weak position. But alas, life is not a dream. The head roommate curled her lips, crossed her arms, and slowly surveyed the scene. "Zhao Changqian, if you want to do charity, use your own money. Why are you taking your sister's money, taking from others, and then claiming a noble title that's truly impressive? Your sister puts in the effort, and you reap the praise, intending to borrow flowers to offer Buddha. To put it bluntly, isn't that stealing someone else's credit?" Zhao Changqian's face instantly turned pale, then green, and finally as white as paper. She opened her mouth but could not utter a single word. I merely smiled calmly, observing the scene. Truthfully, she was truly foolish. Of all people to try her tricks on, she chose my friends. These people were all presidents and vice presidents of the school's debate club, who had brought many a villain to tears, unable to contend with their sharp minds and keen tongues. Zhao Changqian bit her lip, trying to salvage some dignity. "I didn't mean that, it's just that I felt so sorry for them. I wanted to help a little, but I don't have a scholarship like my sister." I raised an eyebrow, a faint smile on my face. "You don't have a scholarship, but you have living expenses. 3,000 yuan a month. That's enough to feed many poor students. You're such a good person. You surely wouldn't want to eat well and dress nicely, while they only have watery porridge and vegetables, would you?" I looked directly into her eyes, slowly emphasizing each word. "You would, wouldn't you? Am I right?" Zhao Changqian froze her hands, clenching the hem of her shirt, forcing out a strained smile. Yes?" As soon as she finished speaking, she immediately turned and fled, as if afraid I would truly force her to spend her own money on donations. Of course, a person as pleasure-loving and materialistic as she was could never endure cutting her living expenses for charity. My head roommate, satisfied, patted my shoulder, chuckling gleefully. "Little Luo Luo, you're finally smarter. We tried to tell you before, but you wouldn't understand. Your sister isn't the grateful type. She steals your things to build her own good reputation, and then badmouths you behind your back. What a shameless person. Even we, as outsiders, feel angry." I nodded, a slight curve to my lips. Yes, my brain must have been knocked loose before, so to celebrate my new life, I'll treat you all to hot pot with my scholarship money. As soon as the words left my mouth, the room erupted in excited cheers. I chuckled softly, a warmth spreading in my heart. In my previous life, when I was attacked online, they were the ones who stood up for me, but unfortunately, their voices were drowned out by the fierce wave of attacks. But this life was different, and ultimately, it was still the people I chose for myself, the ones most aligned with my heart. For over half a month, I practically buried myself in the laboratory. The bacteria that the senior students had failed to cultivate successfully for 3 years, I managed in just 3 weeks. Experiments that the professor had repeated hundreds of times without success, I completed in a single attempt. I became the laboratory's lucky carp, receiving countless snacks and even thank you transfers from everyone. The professor not only gave me a large bonus, but also granted me special admission to his postgraduate research program, directly involving me in his national level project. As I was happily counting the six-figure sum in my bank account, I inadvertently witnessed an interesting scene below the women's dormitory. Zhao Tianqian was surrounded by a group of poor students, her face a mixture of awkwardness and irritation. Sister Tianqian, you promised to sponsor us, so when will you give us the money? You told us not to work part-time to focus on our studies, and we listened. Now we don't even have money for food. Are you truly a good person, or do you just talk big? Zhao Tianqian's face flushed bright red, and she bit her lip awkwardly, explaining, I truly want to help you. I'm not just talking, it's just that I've been having some financial difficulties recently. But these words did not sway anyone. The leader of the group of poor students frowned impatiently, interrupting her. That's your problem. What does it have to do with us? I stood some distance away, slowly curving my lips. Weren't these the very poor students Zhao Tianqian had supposedly sponsored with my money? It turned out they weren't grateful at all, but rather took the support for granted. I smirked slightly. Serves her right. Just then, Zhao Tianqian spotted me. Hope immediately flickered in her eyes like a drowning person clutching at a straw. Sister, you've come at the perfect time. Quickly give them your scholarship. Consider it a temporary loan. I'll pay you back later. I blinked, feigning utter innocence. Sister, my scholarship money has already been donated to poor children in the mountains. There's nothing left. Zhao Tianqian's eyes widened, her voice shrill. No way, how could you donate it? I calmly produced a donation receipt from the Red Cross, smiling gently. Didn't you tell me to learn to be a good person? I was just following your advice. I tilted my head, my voice soft yet full of hidden meaning. Oh, by the way, Mom and Dad just sent you 3,000 yuan for living expenses, didn't they? Look at these people, they only have steamed buns, pickled vegetables, and free seaweed soup every day. It's truly pitiful. You're such a kind person. You surely wouldn't bear to eat well and dress nicely while they're suffering from hunger. Would you quickly give them your living expenses? At least let them have a full meal. Zhao Tianqian froze, staring at me in disbelief. She had prepared herself for me to loudly scold her, giving her an opportunity to play the victim and gain sympathy. But I wasn't angry at all. Instead, I was incredibly gentle, meticulously helping her find a reasonable solution. I truly was an understanding younger sister. At this point, Zhao Tianqian could no longer feign ignorance. She mumbled awkwardly, but that's my living expenses. I need to eat too. Just then, from the group of poor students, a girl named Wang Ya suddenly stepped forward, taking Zhao Tianqian's arm, her voice full of pity. Sister Tianqian, we haven't had money to eat for 3 days, and we have to go to the canteen to beg for free white rice every day. We're so embarrassed. We know you must be having difficulties too, otherwise you wouldn't have let us fall into this situation. But you're still a wealthy young lady. Just a little saving would be enough for us to live for a month. If there's really no other way, we'll have to go to our academic advisor to explain the situation and borrow some money for food. I narrowed my eyes, crossed my arms, and leisurely savored the unfolding drama. It turned out that some things, only when experienced personally, truly made one understand the meaning of karma. Upon hearing that remark, Zhao Tianqian's expression instantly turned unsightly. But no matter how uncomfortable she felt, she bit her lip and forced a smile, taking out her phone and making the transfer. It's okay, I'll borrow money from a friend for food. This 3,000 yuan, I'm transferring it to you. The phone screen flashed, signaling a successful transaction. In that moment, I saw a flicker of satisfaction in Wang Ya's eyes. An old fox who had achieved her objective. She not only knew Zhao Tianqian, but also understood her vain nature perfectly. With a few skillful words, she had easily manipulated Zhao Tianqian, making her willingly hand over her last penny. In my previous life, Wang Ya had collaborated with Zhao Tianqian to slander me online. She was also an assistant in her live streaming room, specifically using my name to create drama. The lower the viewership, the more they dragged me out to curse, creating a mob effect. But in this life, I curled my lips, watching them calmly. I didn't need to act. One day they would surely harm themselves. That evening, I received a call from my mother. Her voice was full of exasperation, telling me to come home immediately. As soon as I stepped through the door, I heard an angry shout. Zhao Luo Luo. If your sister hadn't said you were hanging out with those yellow-haired ruffians at school, your father and I wouldn't have known how brazen you've become. We work hard to earn money for you two to study. not for you to debase yourself by running around with men. From now on, you'll have to take care of your own living expenses and tuition. Don't even think about asking for another cent. I chuckled. The same old play. In my previous life, Zhao Changqian had also fabricated this story to pressure me into giving her my competition prize money. She secretly took a picture of me receiving food from a yellow-haired delivery guy. The angle so artful that anyone looking at it would think I had an intimate relationship with him. Back then, no matter how I explained, my parents wouldn't listen, and I ultimately had to bitterly hand over the entire prize money. Only then did Zhao Changqian deign to clarify, clearing my name. My parents suddenly believed me again, but still scolded me. Flies don't land on a good egg. If you hadn't behaved improperly, how could someone take such a picture? At that time, I was so resentful, I almost fell into depression, but now I only found it laughable. I calmly looked at my mother and gently replied, "All right, from now on, I'll take care of my own living expenses. Anyway, I already have enough money in my bank account to finish my postgraduate studies." It was good. Now I had a legitimate reason to work part-time, and most importantly, I wouldn't need to go home this weekend. Before, I was wondering what excuse to use, but now I didn't need to think. It was incredibly convenient. Zhao Qian didn't expect me to agree so easily. She was stunned, her eyes filled with disbelief. I didn't bother paying her any mind, just smiled and turned to go upstairs packing my belongings. While the whole family was eating, I slipped into the room and gently opened the drawer. There it was, the household registration booklet. In my previous life, I once had the opportunity to study abroad on an exchange program, but my parents adamantly refused to let me go. The reason was that Zhao Chengqian hadn't secured that spot, so I wasn't allowed to have something she didn't. Such blatant favoritism. Let someone else be their child? I wanted no part of it anymore. I tucked the booklet into my backpack, not forgetting to glance at the familiar room one last time. Then, without looking back, I left that house. Back at school, I threw myself wholeheartedly into the lab. This time, no one could stand in my way. The professor's new project involved an enormous workload, extensive data, and required high precision, with every detail needing careful supervision. I spent almost all my time in the lab, not even leaving on weekends, when I should have been resting. Eventually, even the professor couldn't take it anymore. "Zhao Luoluo, go home this weekend." I looked at him, feeling a little aggrieved, my voice tinged with dissatisfaction. "Professor Song, it's not that I don't want to go home, it's that I have no home to go to. My parents always favor my sister. As long as I displease her, I get yelled at and beaten. This time, just because I didn't give her my scholarship, they kicked me out. Staying in the lab is good. At least these experiments won't bully me." The professor sighed softly, patting my shoulder. "You've worked hard. Try to do well with this experiment, and I'll include your name in the publication list." My eyes immediately lit up. This was a national-level project. Having my name on this work meant my path to a PhD was wide open. Not only that, but even if I wanted to apply to the top 30 large companies in the country later, I would have a sure chance. I clenched my fists and said resolutely, "Professor, please rest assured, I will definitely not disappoint you." There was a blessing in disguise. If I was just wasting time at home in meaningless arguments, I'd rather pour all my heart into experiments. As I left the lab, Zhao Qian immediately blocked my path. Her face was full of smug satisfaction. "Little sister, how does it feel to wander outside? Do you want to come home?" I crossed my arms, a faint smile on my lips. "It feels very good outside." Zhao Qian scoffed, a hint of disdain in her eyes. "Still stubborn, aren't you? It's simple if you want to come home. Just give me your scholarship, and I'll tell Mom and Dad that it was all just a misunderstanding." She tilted her head, lowering her voice to entice me. "Little sister, don't try in vain. You still have 2 years of university left. Tuition and living expenses will cost at least 30,000. Give me 8,000, and in return, you'll receive 30,000 from our parents. It's still a profit, you know." I quietly observed her. Her eyes were bloodshot from lack of sleep, and she was still wearing the old clothes she bought last month. Clearly, she was having a tough time. Last month, she had used the excuse of tutoring classes to demand more living expenses. But this month, no matter how much our parents favored her, the family's financial resources were limited. Now that the deadline for supporting the poor students was approaching, she couldn't manage and had to come to me. I slowly curled my lips, my smile radiant but carrying a hint of mockery. "Why should I go home? The dormitory is quiet for sleeping, and the canteen food suits my taste better. Besides, the professor's subsidy is enough for me to live on. Thanks to you, I could legitimately move out. Actually, I've wanted to leave for a long time. Every time I went back cleaning, the house was exhausting enough, not to mention listening to Mom nag and Dad curse when drunk. It was so annoying. The first 20 years of my life were never as comfortable as they are now." My words, though gentle, were like sharp knives piercing Zhao Chengqian's heart. Her face instantly darkened, her finger trembling as she pointed at me furiously shouting, Zhao Luo Luo, you are truly ungrateful. Our parents raising you was a complete waste. I shrugged, a faint smirk playing on my lips. As long as you're happy. Zhao Changqian gnashed her teeth, her voice filled with indignation. How can you be so ungrateful? Our parents raised you. It wasn't easy. But in your eyes, there's only self-interest and money. They taught us from a young age to be kind. But look at your face. Where is there any kindness? I burst out laughing, my eyes full of sarcasm. You're kind, aren't you? Then keep at it, keep helping those poor students. If you're going to be a good person, you should see it through. Zhao Xianqian's face turned ashen, so angry she spun around and walked away, only tossing back a cold remark. Just you wait? I watched her retreating figure, a cold smile forming on my lips. Before I was controlled by her, because I still considered her my sister and my parents, my family. But now in my eyes, they were no longer human. Who cared about their life or death? Not long after, I understood the meaning of her, just you wait. Zhao Changqian led a group of poor students to block me right outside the laboratory building. Seeing me, she immediately hooked her arm through mine. Her voice so sweet, it sent shivers down my spine. Little sister, I've been waiting for you here for a long time. Lend me your competition prize money. They don't have money for food, and I'm out of money too. I'll get my living expenses next month, and I'll pay you back right away. Oh, I blinked, my eyes innocent. Sister, I really don't have any money. Zhao Changqian scoffed, her tone full of disdain. Don't lie to me. You just won first place a few days ago. The prize money was 6,000. I sighed, beginning to feign helplessness. You know, I was kicked out by my parents. I don't have a penny for tuition or living expenses. Everything costs money. Experiments are also very expensive. Now I only have 200 left on my card, and I still have to live through this month. I tilted my head, blinking innocently. Sister, I was actually thinking of asking you for help. Those friends of yours at least have school subsidies. They won't starve, but I have nothing. Can you really bear to see your own sister starve to death? Zhao Tianqian's expression changed, and she immediately averted her gaze. I don't have any money either. That's why I came to you. I blinked, pretending to think, then slowly said, Sister, if you need money urgently, I know a part-time job that pays quite well. You two can go work there for a few days. The boss there is very good. He can even advance your salary. A normal person would not work part-time to earn money just to help others. And Zhao Changqian, of course, wasn't so foolish. As soon as she heard me, her face changed immediately, and she frowned, looking for an excuse to refuse. But standing beside her was Wang Ya, who was accustomed to leeching off Zhao Changqian. How could she miss this opportunity? Wang Ya quickly spoke up. Sister Changqian, let's go work part-time together. It's just when you're also out of living expenses. She then turned to the group of poor students, smiling kindly. You all should also find a part-time job this month. Wait until Sister Changqian gets her salary next month, and she'll support us again. Then we can make up for lost study time. We must study hard and not disappoint Sister Changqian, who has worked so hard for us. The group of poor students immediately responded, shouting in unison, Sister Changqian, we will definitely study hard and not disappoint you. Without further discussion, the part-time job was decided, and Zhao Changqian didn't even have a chance to object. Wang Ya asked me for the job address, then immediately pulled Zhao Changqian away. I watched their retreating figures, secretly marveling. I never thought Wang Ya could be so quick-witted. With this level of skill, how could Zhao Changqian possibly contend with her? That evening, 3 minutes before the dormitory closed, Changqian limped back. She looked haggard, her hands trembling as she held a cup of water, unable to even stand steadily. After resting for only 5 minutes, Zhao Changqian turned to me, her voice full of anger. Zhao Luo Luo, what kind of terrible job did you recommend I had to stand and wash dishes for 8 hours, and even drinking water, or going to the bathroom, got me scolded by the boss? I blinked, my voice utterly innocent. Oh, that's so hard. My friend said it was a very easy job with high pay. If you don't want to do it, just quit. My indifferent words only added fuel to the fire. Zhao Changqian's face darkened further, her voice resentful. Wang Ya took all my salary. She even advanced a month's worth of my salary to distribute to everyone as living expenses. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. I had already guessed that Wang Ya was a cunning manipulator, but I didn't expect her to be so vicious, decisively cutting off Zhao Changqian's lifeline. How could one win? By throwing an egg at a rock. I chuckled coldly. Don't be angry, sister. Anyway, the money you earned was to help them. What's the difference between giving it now or later? I tilted my head, my eyes clear but my tone mocking. I've been on social media for years, and I've never met anyone who would work part-time just to help poor students like you. You're truly great. If everyone knew about this, they'd surely call you the modern Mother Teresa. In my previous life, Zhao Xiangqian had used her beautiful and kind image to become famous online. Sure enough, as soon as she heard me, her eyes lit up, and she eagerly took out her phone to register a Douyin account. I watched a cold smile on my lips. In my previous life, she had killed me with online attacks. This time, it was her turn. But washing dishes for 8 hours was truly not easy. Even Wang Ya only lasted 3 days before using exams as an excuse to quit. But Zhao Chengqian was different. She was incredibly enthusiastic. She attended classes during the day, washed dishes in the afternoon, and edited videos for posting online in the evening. I had to admit, she was born for social media. She understood the audience's psychology very well. Sensational headlines, emotionally resonant content. In just 1 week, her channel became famous, and her follower count skyrocketed. Thousands of comments underneath were filled with praise. Washing dishes for 8 hours. Oh my God, even I, who have been accustomed to hardship since childhood, couldn't endure such high intensity. Exactly, doing such heavy work is usually only for middle-aged aunts in their 40s or 50s who have to support their children. And this girl looks like she's never suffered yet. She's still willing to help poor students. She's truly great. This is real charity, far better than those who just show off their image online. These praises were like a tranquilizer, dispelling all of Zhao Chengqian's fatigue after a day of labor. Every night after editing videos, she spent time interacting with fans, building an image of resilience and optimism. And of course, she succeeded. Her fan count soared to 30,000. People at school even started seeking her autograph. Zhao Chengqian's eyes gleamed with excitement and triumph. But outwardly, she maintained a humble, gentle demeanor. Actually, I'm not that good. I just felt so sorry for them and wanted to help as much as I could. The work is a bit hard, but whenever I see the smiles on their faces, I feel it's worth it. Although my abilities are limited, I will persevere to the end. A perfect speech, both moving and inspiring. As a result, in just 1 night, her fan count increased by another 30,000. Even brands sought her out for advertisements. 30,000 yuan for an advertisement, 50,000 yuan for a brand collaboration. Money came as easily as turning over one's hand. In just 1 day, Zhao Chengqian could earn tens of thousands of yuan without arduous labor. She became exhilarated, not only neglecting her studies, but also performing her dishwashing duties perfunctorily. But life is full of ironies. The restaurant owner, seeing her popularity attracting many fans to the restaurant, not only didn't blame her, but even increased her salary and granted her various privileges. She was given direct supervision over the dishwashing staff. Before long, she began to abuse her authority, constantly forcing the aunties to work overtime while endlessly lecturing them about charity. Work is hard. When you work, you must dedicate yourself. Don't forget, we are helping those in greater need. The boss doesn't earn money easily. He has paid your wages, so you must work diligently. Every plate must be cleaned thoroughly. Ensuring hygiene for the customers, do it with all your heart. She kept repeating these words, painting herself as a benevolent angel, without any regard for the people exhausted by her demands. She thought the aunties were old and didn't use social media, so they wouldn't be able to expose her. But she forgot one thing. All those aunties had children. As I was meticulously working towards a breakthrough in the lab, Zhao Chengqian's online fame began to crumble. It all started one ordinary afternoon. A group of Zhao Chengqian's fans came to the restaurant to witness their benevolent saintess at work. But coincidentally, at that very moment, the children of the dishwashing aunties arrived to demand justice. In the cramped space, an indignant voice rang out. My mother was forced to work to exhaustion by you. This is an injury from overwork, and you were the one who forced my mother to do it. Zhao Chengqian was stunned, unable to believe her ears. What? But the boss already paid them. Working is normal. Don't falsely accuse others. Be careful, it might backfire on you. Those words, unexpectedly, became the fuse that ignited public opinion. A video recording the entire scene quickly spread online. The controversy erupted, but Zhao Chengqian's fanbase was too large, and more than anyone she knew how to play the victim. Tears fell instantly. Many fervent fans believed her implicitly, without bothering to consider right or wrong, immediately defending her and organizing debate groups against anti-fans. This was Zhao Chengqian's old trick. In her previous life, she had played this game too skillfully, and this life was no different. Knowing everything, I just smiled faintly calmly, heading to the canteen. I happened to see Wang Ya eating, and pretended to be surprised. My sister gave you so much money, yet you're still eating such a simple meal. Wang Ya frowned. What do you mean? I placed my tray on the table and smiled. You and my sister have such a good relationship. You went to wash dishes together, and now she's earned millions of yuan from Douyin ads. She must have given you a substantial share, right? Thou. As soon as I spoke, Wang Ya's face instantly changed. Her voice was full of anger. What she told me, she didn't earn much money, so she lied to me. Rage surged and Wang Ya gritted her teeth. If it weren't for me inviting her to wash dishes, would she be where she is today? Not to mention splitting it in half. She should at least give me 40 or 50,000. She stood up abruptly. I'm going to find her and settle this. Watching Wang Ya's retreating figure, I subtly curved my lips. I didn't even need to watch the next development. I already knew the outcome. That selfish Zhao Qianqian would surely have to obediently hand over 40 or 50,000 to shut her up. But Wang Ya's greed knew no bounds. Seeing Zhao Qianqian earn money so easily, how could she sit idly by? She would also jump into making short videos soon enough. But how to stand out in the vast sea of people online? Simple, the best way to climb higher was to step on others. And Zhao Qianqian, a former rival, a false ally, was the perfect stepping stone. 3 days later, as expected, Wang Ya's name unexpectedly appeared across all social media platforms. A video barely 3 minutes long caused a public uproar. She wasn't alone. Beside her were the poor students Zhao Qianqian had supposedly sponsored at the university. But this time, they weren't there to praise her, but to expose her true colors, to reveal things no one had ever known before the camera. They took money from Wang Ya and began to accuse Zhao Qianqian. She said she would sponsor us, but in reality, she only gave $500 each time, and we had to beg for it ourselves. Her expression was no different from treating us like beggars. Initially, we didn't need her money. We wanted to earn money by working part-time, but she wouldn't allow it. She forced us to only focus on studying, saying working part-time was a waste of time. But in reality, she was just using us to boost her own reputation. The sharp, incisive words were like daggers, piercing deep into Zhao Qianqian's reputation, because nothing was more convincing than accusations from the very people she had supposedly helped. There was no denying it, no rebutting it. Zhao Qianqian completely lost the opportunity to turn the situation around. The entire social media erupted. The praise and adoration that once showered her now turned into bitter insults. Public opinion, like a rising tide, submerged Zhao Qianqian in the fury of thousands. Not stopping there, some extremists even went to her school, splashing red paint on her dorm room door as a stark warning. Misfortunes never come singly. This storm not only swept away Zhao Qianqian's reputation, but also dragged her career to rock bottom. The advertising contracts that once brought in millions of yuan now became double-edged swords. Due to this scandal, partner companies sued her for breach of contract, forcing her to pay colossal compensation. All her income from Douyin evaporated. Not a single cent remained. The price of fame, which came so quickly, fell just as brutally. But Zhao Qianqian would not sit idly by and be harmed. She was unwilling to be trampled by others. She began to retaliate. Wang Ya's messages were leaked online. Every secret, every stain exposed for all to see. It turned out that Wang Ya, who constantly complained about her family's preference for sons over daughters and wanted to break free from oppression, would obediently send money home to her parents every time she received assistance, feigning filial piety. It turned out she didn't focus on her studies at all, spending her days thinking of ways to seduce wealthy men. It turned out she had been a mistress, had ruined other people's families, and had done even more disgusting things. Netizens found this dog-eat-dog drama utterly engrossing. Today, Zhao Qianqian would release information tomorrow, Wang Ya would retaliate. They were like two wild beasts, tearing each other apart, fighting until both their accounts were completely deleted. The door to fame slammed shut with no way back. But it wasn't over. Just when Zhao Qianqian thought she had escaped everything, Wang Ya brought a group of poor students to find her. They stood before her without a hint of shyness or embarrassment and nonchalantly uttered unbelievably brazen words. You always sponsored us before. You have to continue sponsoring us now. Zhao Qianqian's eyes widened a furious rage, burning through her reason. I haven't settled scores with you yet. If it weren't for you all slandering me together, how would I have fallen into this situation? I'm not even demanding back the money I gave you. Consider yourselves lucky. Don't expect another penny from now on. But they were not afraid. A tall male student stepped forward, deliberately bumping hard into Zhao Qianqian's shoulder. She staggered, almost falling. He chuckled coldly, his tone arrogant. If you had shared the money you earned with us, would we have accused you? We don't care. If you don't continue to give us money, we'll follow you every day, not letting you live in peace. Their eyes gleamed with greed, no longer appearing as pitiful poor students, but as wolves who had tasted blood. At this moment, Zhao Qianqian truly understood. She regretted it, but it was too late. I stood by the dormitory window, sipping sweet bubble tea, leisurely peeling crayfish. The drama unfolding before me was truly worth savoring. Those who once wore beautiful masks were now tearing each other apart without mercy. Dog eat dog, nothing more entertaining. Ultimately, Zhao Changqian had to give in. She continued to subsidize the poor students, 500 yuan per person per month. But unlike before this time, the money didn't come from her ample income, but from her meager remaining living expenses. Every withdrawn yuan forced Zhao Changqian to rely on credit cards accumulating mounting debt. But for Wang Ya, 500 yuan was no longer worth bothering about. She didn't care for that small sum anymore. Instead, she would occasionally visit Zhao Changqian's dormitory. No money, no problem. Just take things, toothpaste, facial cleanser, clothes, even a tablet, anything she could carry, she took without hesitation. Time after time. Finally, Zhao Tianqian could not bear it any longer. The pent-up anger erupted. Wang Ya, I truly have no money left. It's useless even if you push me to death. But Wang Ya just sneered coldly. How many people out there wish you were dead? If you truly wanted to die, you would have died a long time ago. Her words were light, but cold as a knife, cutting into Zhao Changqian's self-esteem. Then, as if an idea struck her, Wang Ya tilted her head, her eyes revealing calculation. You don't have to give money. She dragged out her words, each one sinking deep into her opponent's ears. As long as you agree to be my sister-in-law, not only will I not ask you for money anymore, but my family will even give you spending money. Zhao Xiangqian was stunned, unable to react as Wang Ya continued. The betrothal gift of 200,000 will be transferred directly to your account. The wedding will include the full 3 golden items. What more could you possibly complain about? But what she received in return was not agreement, but a resounding slap. Smack. Your whole family are frogs, trying to eat swan meat. What kind of person is your brother? Don't you know in your heart? Wang Ya's face darkened, but instead of anger, she wore a strange smile. What about my brother? He's only been detained 3 times for prostitution, hasn't he? That proves his strong libido. He may be a bit short, but he's handsome and of good quality. Her eyes were sharp as blades, her tone nonchalant, as if talking about a proud achievement. If it weren't for the fact that I like your academic qualifications, thinking you could improve his children's genes, do you think I'd bother with you? Having said that, without waiting for Zhao Changqian's reaction, Wang Ya raised her hand and delivered 2 more slaps. Smack, smack. Though Zhao Changqian had a height advantage, how could she contend with Wang Ya, who had been accustomed to heavy labor since childhood? In no time, she was pinned to the ground, by Wang Ya beaten until stars danced before her eyes. If not for the head roommate's timely return, Zhao Changqian might have been beaten beyond recognition. When the head roommate recounted this story, I couldn't help but be astonished. I knew Wang Ya was strange, but I never expected her to have such serious issues. Having lived in a family that favored sons over daughters since childhood, she was indoctrinated with the idea that women were inherently inferior to men. Her parents sending her to college wasn't a right for her, but a debt, a favor she had to repay for life. So it was no surprise that she wanted Zhao Changqian to become her sister-in-law. Fortunately, I wasn't in the dorm that day. I was busy with experiments. Otherwise, given Zhao Changqian's personality, who knew if I would have been dragged into it? I thought that after this fight, they would never look at each other again. But unexpectedly, just 2 days later, they made up. They were even closer than before. I didn't understand. I truly couldn't comprehend it until the head roommate told me the truth. It seems Zhao Changqian found someone else for Wang Ya to be a sister-in-law. I heard they met at the school gate. Wang Ya's brother was very satisfied and said the group would go hiking in a few days. My heart gave a slight jolt. School gate. I suddenly recalled the scene a few days prior. I had seen Wang Ya and her brother standing at the school gate. They looked at me. They smiled at me. Why was that smile so terrifying? In that moment, a thought shot through my mind like a cold lightning bolt. Oh my God, could it be that they're targeting me? It made sense. Zhao Changqian was selfish and hated me. It was normal for her to want to escape and push me to my death. Just as I suspected, Zhao Changqian suddenly became unusually concerned about me. Sister, burying yourself in experiments day in and day out with your body's rhythm, so disrupted, how can you possibly endure it? Let's go hiking this weekend. She paused, then continued. After hiking, just come home. Mom and Dad haven't called you, but they actually miss you very much. They're just waiting for you to proactively apologize. I've also made mistakes, haven't set a good example. But after everything that's happened, I've realized that nothing is more important than family. Her words landed in my ears like a knife touching an old wound of a child who grew up in emotional deprivation, then was abandoned by her own family. I smiled gently, replying, all right, hiking sounds good. How many people are going? Afraid I would change my mind, Zhao Changqian quickly answered. Just you, me, and Wang Ya. We'll go to Yinhang Mountain. Yinhang Mountain, a small secluded peak, At this time of year, few people frequented it. Indeed, a perfect place for shady dealings. I subtly licked my lips, a fleeting smile full of hidden meaning. All right, let's go together then. Zhao Qian smiled, a glint of successful calculation in her eyes. I also smiled. If they were seeking their own demise, I certainly wouldn't be polite. Early on the weekend morning, Zhao Qian couldn't wait any longer, immediately dragging me along for the hike. Wang Ya followed closely behind her, eyes vigilant as if fearing I would escape. I pretended not to notice, happily humming a tune all the way. It wasn't until we reached the mountaintop and I saw Wang Ya's brother standing there that I frowned slightly, my voice displeased. Zhao Qian, you said it would just be the three of us. So why is Wang Ya's brother here? Zhao Qian slightly curled her lips, her eyes full of disdain. He's your future brother-in-law. Of course he has to be here. I froze, my voice full of doubt. What do you mean by that? Wang Ya had by now blocked the path down the mountain, her face clearly triumphant. Sister Luo, you'll be my sister-in-law from now on. I really like you. You're smart, beautiful, and highly educated. I heard the professor values you highly and has reserved a spot for you to study for your master's. Later, please help me get a master's spot too. She narrowed her eyes, her voice slowly enunciating each word like a cold knife. Wait until you get pregnant with my brother's child. If it's a boy, we'll have the wedding. If not, just keep giving birth until there is one. Don't worry, it won't delay your experiments. We'll rent a house near the school, and you can live with him after class. A chill ran down my spine, but I maintained a calm expression, my voice cold. What if I refuse? Are you going to use force? Zhao Qian burst out laughing, her smile tinged with malevolence. What else? To prevent you from calling the police, we'll record a video. By then, no matter how good you are in school, no matter how much the professor values you, no one will believe you anymore. As soon as the video spreads, everyone will see you as nothing but a slut. At this point, Wang Chang also approached, grinning lewdly. This is my first time sleeping with a university student. You look so delicious. This is quite a bargain for me. He reached out to embrace me. I stepped back but immediately received a brutal slap from him. What are you pretending to be pure for, bitch? I'll make you cry with pleasure later. As he spoke, he reached out and tore my shirt. Zhao Qian and Wang Ya immediately rushed forward, forcefully pinning me down, blocking all escape routes. Zhao Qian still tried to maintain her pitiful image, tears streaming down her face. Little sister, it's because you wouldn't listen to me. If you had given me the money sooner, we could have helped them together and it wouldn't have come to this. A piercing rip sounded as my shirt was torn, but at that very moment, an angry shout echoed, cutting through the tense atmosphere. What are you doing? They all turned their heads in unison, facing the sharp eyes of the police. Shock was evident on every face. Wang Chang immediately turned and fled, but was quickly kicked to the ground by the police and handcuffed. Wang Ya trembled, slumping to the ground, muttering unconsciously, "It's over. It's really over this time. I'm going to prison." Zhao Qian's face turned ashen, her voice full of confusion. Why are the police here? I subtly lowered my head, leaning close to her ear, and chuckled softly. Of course, it's because I called the police beforehand. Surprised? As soon as the words left my mouth, Zhao Qian went mad, lunging to choke my neck, her eyes bloodshot. This time, there was no pretense of gentleness. So you knew all along. I'll kill you. I must kill you. The police immediately rushed in to intervene, pulling her away from me. A police officer reassured me. Don't be afraid, we will protect you. I smiled faintly. Of course I trusted them. Otherwise, I wouldn't have agreed to go hiking with Zhao Qian in the first place. Indeed, the scenery descending the mountain was far more beautiful than ascending it. Attempted rape and aiding and abetting attempted rape are both criminal acts. Wang Ya's brother was sentenced to 4 years in prison. It should have been 3 years, but due to the slap he gave me, the sentence increased by 1 year, falling under aggravating circumstances. Wang Ya was sentenced to 8 months in prison. She quickly shifted all responsibility onto Zhao Qian, testifying that everything was instigated by her. As for Zhao Qian, her final act of choking me became an aggravating factor. Combined with the testimony of the other two, she was sentenced to 1 year and 2 months in prison. The university showed no leniency, directly expelling all 3 of them. 15 years of schooling went down the drain. With a prison record and a criminal history, finding a good job was unimaginable. My parents came to the school to find me. They pleaded with me to help Zhao Qian, hoping the school would reconsider its decision to expel her. But when they saw I didn't agree, they immediately changed their tone, criticizing me. You ruined her life. If you don't help her, don't even think about getting your household registration booklet. Without it, you won't be able to do anything. Just then, my professor happened to pass by and witnessed the entire scene. He angrily roared, "What kind of parents are you two in this world? To be this biased? Is the elder daughter a child? but the younger daughter isn't. Clearly, the younger one is more obedient and understanding and more talented, yet you treat her so unfairly. Such a good child, and you don't cherish her. No wonder you remain poor your whole lives. The professor's words were like sharp knives, cutting into their hypocrisy. But unfortunately, those who pretend to sleep will never wake up. Finally, the professor called security, directly kicking them out and forbidding them from setting foot on campus again. To ensure they wouldn't continue to bother me, the professor also helped me secure a 6-month exchange scholarship at a prestigious university abroad. This was my chance to make up for my past regrets. 1 year later, Zhao Changqian was released from prison. Without a degree, without a job, she could only live off our parents. Our parents advised her to learn a trade so she could support herself, but she had completely collapsed mentally. She went mad, frequently smashing things in the house. The months in prison, tortured by perverts, had left her with severe psychological trauma. My parents had no other choice. Though old and frail, they still had to struggle to earn money to support her. But before long, Zhao Qianqian met a hooligan and even became pregnant by him. She declared she wanted to marry him. The hooligan was not only poor, but also violent, addicted to alcohol and gambling. My parents, of course, disagreed with her associating with such a person. But Zhao Changqian was stubborn, even brazenly bringing him to live in the house. She argued, "He's had a difficult time in society. I just want to reform him. Can't we work hard together? One must have compassion. Besides, I've been to prison. Finding someone willing to marry me isn't easy. Are you heartless enough to let me die alone and old?" My parents were helpless, unable to do anything more. But a scumbag remained a scumbag. After every drunken spree, he not only beat Zhao Qianqian, but also attempted to assault my mother. Finally, my father was furious to the extreme, almost beating him to death, intending to drag him to the police station. But Zhao Qianqian wailed piteously, running to the window and threatening to jump if our parents reported him to the police. Ultimately, due to their weakness and blind tolerance, my parents did not report him. But from then on, the house was nothing short of hell. Every day was a battle, a scene of chaos and screaming. Breaking objects, a suffocating atmosphere no one could breathe in. Then, real disaster struck. One day, while bathing, my mother slipped and fell. No one at home discovered it in time. By the time she was taken to the hospital, it was too late. She passed away in solitude without a final word. My mother's death became the last straw. My father finally completely abandoned Zhao Changqian. He packed his bags, left that haunted house, and moved to a strange city to start a new life. From then on, he no longer had a daughter named Zhao Xianqian. Zhao Changqian and the hooligan had been living off my parents' meager wages all this time. But when the financial source dried up, the hooligan revealed his true colors. He forced Zhao Changqian to work at a bar to earn money to support him. She had no other choice, still clinging to a faint illusion of love of family. But the fate of one who sinks into the mire forever only leads to deeper despair. Every time he got drunk, he would beat her. Day after day, week after week, until one night, Zhao Chengqian couldn't bear it anymore. She lit a fire, burning down the entire house. The fire consumed everything, the hooligan, the young child, and herself. The day I heard Zhao Chengqian had died in the fire, I had just been promoted to director of the Research Institute, the youngest in the institute's history. My future was bright and brilliant. In the morning, I celebrated my success with friends, raising a toast to my promotion and salary increase. In the afternoon, I stepped into the funeral home to receive the ashes of Zhao Tianqian, her child, and the hooligan. Except for the child's ashes, an innocent life, which I buried properly. The rest, I poured down the drain, considering them returned to their original place.